Russia troops at Ukraine border not a threat as US spar at UN meeting. Russian troops massed close to the border with Ukraine are not a threat, China said last night as it accused the United States of warmongering. Beijing ramped up its support for Moscow at a heated public meeting at the United Nations in New York amid growing fears of an invasion of Ukraine. Zhang Jun, China's UN ambassador, said there was no basis for Western claims that Moscow, which has at least 127,000 troops near its border with Ukraine and in Belarus, is about to stage an incursion. China joined Russia in a bid to block a meeting of the UN Security Council on the military buildup yesterday. China has previously cautiously backed Russia in its standoff with the US and NATO. The move will stoke fears that President Putin is building closer ties with Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, as relations with the West deteriorate. Moscow accused Linda Thomas-Greenfield, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, of whipping up hysterics and megaphone diplomacy after she demanded a first meeting on the crisis. Vasily Nebenzia, Moscow's UN envoy, had sought to close down the meeting from the outset, but failed with 10 nations backing the open discussion. Mr. Putin has made a string of demands including a ban on Ukraine joining NATO and the withdrawal of troops from the alliance's eastern flank. Mr. Zhang said Russia's concerns were legitimate and must be taken into account in future diplomatic efforts to ease the tensions. NATO's expansion is an issue that is very hard to sidestep in attempts to diffuse current tensions, he said. Russia has deployed at least 127,000 troops near its border with Ukraine and in Belarus, where it says it plans to carry out joint exercises with the Belarusian army. Moscow dispatched 5,000 troops into Belarus, which neighbors Ukraine, with plans for more in the coming weeks, the White House said. Russia's actions strike at the very heart of the UN Charter, Ms. Thomas-Greenfield said. This is clear and consequential, a threat to the peace and security, as anyone can imagine. In a statement after the talks, US President Joe Biden said, if instead Russia chooses to walk away from diplomacy and attacks Ukraine, Russia will bear the responsibility and it will face swift and severe consequences. Emmanuel Macron, the French president, said in a statement that he had spoken on the phone to Mr. Putin yesterday, following a call between the leaders on Friday. Moscow denies Western claims it is plotting an imminent invasion, despite the troop deployment and threats from Mr. Putin of military technical measures if NATO does not bar Kiev from ever joining the alliance. 100 prominent Russians have signed an open letter hitting out at insane Kremlin actions that have pushed the country to the brink of war with Ukraine. The Kremlin must remember that Ukraine is ready to defend itself. At the same time, we support the need to keep diplomatic channels with Russia open, he added. His remarks come as an estimated 100,000 troops equipped with advanced weaponry line Ukraine's eastern border with Russia and northern border with Belarus, a Moscow ally. It is in the interest of everyone to prevent the war, or rather to prevent the renewal of an active phase of the military ongoing aggression. The ambassadors from the US and Russia clashed at the international forum, which did not yield any action or a joint statement from participants. Russian Ambassador Vasily Nebenzia blamed the United States for provoking escalation at the border and for falsely accusing Moscow of preparing to invade Ukraine. The Kremlin has denied that the troop deployment is a prelude to an attack and has instead characterized the movement as a military exercise. Russian officials have repeatedly called on the US to prevent an eastward expansion of the NATO military alliance.